we are able to understand how the mind is considered like water, having the basic nature to still. When it is still, can allow light pass through, it can be transparent. But once it is disturbed, it loses its basic property of letting through light pass through. It loses its ability to become transparent. The same is with the mind. When the mind is still, it can let you see through things very clearly. Once it is disturbed, it loses ability to stay focused, and it does not allow you to see things clearly. And that is the biggest challenge today. People are not able to see things clearly, and because they don't have the right view, so very good morning to everyone. And if you can hear me clearly, you can always give a thumbs up on the comment section. So here we are on our second episode on this Tuesday's Sunya Talks. And I was planning to get Dr. Lim, and I tried to get Dr. Lim online too, but seems that he is very busy and he could not spare some time. But however, I had my back up, and so I am going to do my presentation about the 5 hindrances, the obstacles that actually become the reasons that we do not practice Shunya, and how to overcome that. That's our topic for today. So welcome everyone. I see a good number of audience around the world joining in from different parts, from Bhutan to Latin America. So today we are going to learn about Shunya and what are those 5 hindrances that cause us not to practice Shunya. So you see on the screen these monks, they are trying to meditate, but something stops them from meditating. What is it that stops us from meditating? Why is it so difficult sometimes to just sit still and observe your breath? There are so many things that just don't seem to work right when we want to do that. And sitting still for an period of 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or even an hour sometimes seems to be a great achievement, you know. And if somebody, even in a retreat, when we do retreats, we say that now you can sit for 1 hour, people feel so amazed and they feel wow. So I think that is because, like these monks, if you see, there are certain things that stop us from focusing our mind and controlling our thoughts. And these 5 hindrances, as the Buddha called them, are the reason we are not able to meditate. We are not able to do our practice of Shunya. So what are these? Okay, so we are going to go through them. And these basically the 5 obstacles, we call them, for practicing Shunya. And how are we going to overcome them? Now, the first thing very important is to understand what are we trying to achieve here. Okay. Now, when you look at this picture again, the reason I'm going to show you this picture is, again, you're going to see these monks in different types of states. The one you see in the middle is basically still engaged in his sensory desire. The one on the left hand side is really angry. We call it ill will. And then the one in the center is moving his heads in all direction. He's restless and worrying. The one towards the right is in doubt with all the question marks. And the one on the extreme right is almost dozed off because of sloth and torpor. Yes, this is exactly what we are going to understand here. But if you go to understand this, you need to first understand what are we trying to achieve here. Now, you see behind me on the screen, you see clear water. And the water is so clean and clear that light, when it falls on the surface, can pass through. And it can actually show us through the water. And it seems that it's completely transparent. The reason being, that is the nature of water. Water is completely transparent. That is its nature. But what happens to water? Water over a period of time can get polluted or dirty. So this transparent water which can help us to see through, that's exactly how Buddha explained the mind. The mind is like water. It is not fixed in form. It can take the shape of a container it falls into. If you freeze it, it becomes hard. If you heat it, it becomes steam. If you keep it, it can remain still. If you move it around, it can start, get disturbed. It's so neutral, but yet it is something that does not exist in a normal state usually. It is the medium through which every exchange of fluids that happen, or matter exchange that happen in the world, happens through water. Similarly, the mind is the medium through which everything happens. So what are those 5 hindrances? When I say hindrances, I mean they are the obstacles or the reason through which you start avoiding or finding a reason not to practice. So in Sunya, we say there are 2 ways to achieve your status of a Zen master, or to achieve the highest state of peace and prosperity. And one is we say that first you need to start your practice of Shunya. And the second one is very difficult. Guess what that is? The second one? The second one is to start, and the second one is to? Yes, not stop. Continue. Keep on going. Keep on going. If you are able to do that, you will one day definitely achieve, as Buddha said, within 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, maximum 7 years. So that is the promise of the Buddha. So definitely we need to understand what are those hindrances then that can stop me from achieving that. And to begin with, these are the 5. One is the sensual desire. We will delve deep into it, understanding what that is. Second is ill will. Third one is sloth and torpor. Fourth one is restlessness and worry. And the fifth one is skeptical doubt. Now, when I say sensual desire, what is sensual desire? In the mind, it always hunts for sensual pleasures. Okay, we have 5 senses. Our sense of sight, sound, our smell, our taste, and even physical feeling. They are our senses. And our senses always want to engage with their subject. Okay, it's very difficult to take away the senses from their subject. There is something out there, and it's very difficult to resist not to look at it. You would like to look at it, because along with the mind's curiosity, the senses also have a desire to hold on to the object. Basically, they are object of perception. And in the whole process, these 5 senses, they can distract you. And that is why having yourself not controlling your senses can be one of your reasons where you cannot practice meditation. So you see, in Shunya, we always start from, when we do a retreat also, we make sure that we help you to manage your senses. Your food is very simple. Your living, we make sure everybody wear the same clothes so that there is no kind of differentiation, so that everybody look the same. We make sure that we all sit on the same environment, so there is no differentiation. So nobody can crave that I want to go higher up and lower down. So all these 5 senses, we try to bring them to a kind of an equilibrium so that we all can manage to control it. Patanjali, in his Yoga Sutras, also says that the first one of his Ashtanga Yoga, the Eightfold Path of Patanjali, he says the first important part to yoga is Sayyam, means to manage or to control your senses. One who can control his senses, they say, can control the world. I think that's the most difficult thing, because in today's sensual world, we are continuously engaging our senses in some object of sense gratification. And that is where the challenge is. So the Buddha has very nicely explained that the first hindrance, and when I say first, means that would be on the top of his priority list, and definitely, how did he explain that? as a simile. Using the transparent water, the water which has basically the nature to still down, but because of many things can actually become turbulent and this thing, we have to understand that Buddha used right similes so that we can understand. Here, the simile that was used was the water mixed with different colors, beautiful colors. Do you think there's a water with all different colors? Can you see through it? No. So once your senses are engaged and you lose your focus and attention, you cannot see clearly. That's where the challenge happens. That is why you see the advertisement industry is completely essential industry. It makes sure that you get hooked up to the ad and you don't see through the product. Okay, so many a time we buy a product because the ad was so good that you get so much sensually attached to it that you love the product. So always remember, the first simile is a water which was basically transparent, added with many colors. And many colors, basically what it will do, it will make even the beautiful colors, they still make the water turbid. And once it is turbid, no light can pass through. And similarly, the mind, if it's engaged in its senses, it's very, very difficult for it to concentrate and to meditate. Okay, that's your first thing. Then what comes forth is second is ill will. Now, ill will is kind of a negative feeling. Like the sensual feeling was pleasure, seeking pleasure, that I want this, I want this, I want this. Ill will is something exactly opposite. You know, I don't like this. You have some feeling against resentment for somebody, and it is very strong, this feeling. You know, like that day if you had a fight or you were angry at somebody, when you sat to practice, it's very difficult to concentrate. Okay, why? Because suddenly it becomes difficult to focus, because feeling of hostility is so difficult that your mind keeps on hooking up into that little feeling. And this feeling is of bitterness, of hatred, of revenge, of negativity, is always going to be a hindrance in your practice. So we always say that you have to understand this, that you need to watch your feeling. Okay, that is why even in the we call the 4 foundations, the feeling also we do not attach ourselves to. We make sure that the feeling is seen as a feeling. If a feeling of hatred comes while practicing towards somebody, we just observe that feeling as a feeling. We don't do anything. So here, when the example was to be given, what simile this can be given, it's like water, but this time the water is boiling. Imagine like you're really angry. You have your mind, which is basically supposed to be calm and transparent, but here what is happening? It's boiling because the feelings are boiling it, or like bubbles coming in the water. Can you see through boiling water? Can you see through bubbles passing by? No. So even though it is self-inflicted feelings, the mind loses its ability to stay focused and is not able to see through clearly. Okay, so very, very important. The second one is the bubbling water. So feelings are very, very important. And so we always tell, you know, how do you manage this? You manage them by observing. Okay, then we go on to the next one. That's sloth and torpor. Now, sloth and torpor is basically an half-hearted action with little or no effort or concentration. Why does this happen? Because of what we call the heaviness and laziness of the body and the mind. Now, when the body is heavy and lazy, you have seen that guy who was, I just showed you, you know, I might show you again. You see this one who is sleeping, dozing off, is exactly because his mind is very, very, it's like heavy and, okay, here it is, yeah. So we are very heavy and his mind is lazy, the body is heavy, and suddenly this guy is not going to be able to concentrate during practice. So he will look as if he is doing very nice practice, but technically he is almost gone into a wonderland. He's sleeping, he's dozing off. After some time, you might even hear him snore. So that could happen, because that's what a sloth and a torpor state of mind can do. Um, it's said that it's like, when you practice with that kind of a mindset, you're actually carrying a snake with you in your lap. Yeah, it said like you're carrying a snake in your lap. Imagine it's like this. Yeah, it said in the sutra, it should be. So what you should do, you should remember this, that carrying a kind of laziness or carrying a kind of heaviness when you're practicing, you're carrying a snake. Do you think it is going to let you sit still? Okay, so it will never let you concentrate. So we have to throw away the snake. You have to throw away your laziness. You have to bring in, you have to motivate yourself to do this, right? So practice. So now that it is very nicely explained again in the sutra and in the Samyukta Nikaya. These are the examples I'm giving you are not my examples. They are from the Samyukta Nikaya, and here it is said that the sloth and torpor is like stagnant water that is not moving, but completely loaded with weeds, grasses, and everything growing in it, mushy. Do you think light can pass through it? I think impossible. It's too difficult. So for a person with this, maybe physically he is not well, physically he is sick, he's already heavy. This becomes so difficult for him to even practice meditation. He can sleep for sure, but he cannot practice meditation. So that is why even out of the 4 foundation, we said the body is important. Take care of your body. Nourish it well. Exercise and all those things. See, all these are interconnected. Very, very important. So sloth and torpor, make sure that doesn't stop you from practicing your shunya. Okay. Then the 4th one is restlessness and worry. Now, it's the inability to calm the mind and keep one's mind in focus, okay, on one's energy also focused, okay. Now here, when you go, this is very nicely explained, it's like, we call it the monkey mind. We all know the mind is a monkey. As soon as it gets an opportunity, it will act like a monkey. And if you want to see monkeys, do start teaching people shunya, and you'll see all the monkeys coming out. Somebody will be scratching here, somebody will be scratching here, everywhere. You'll see all the monkeys jumping here and there, right? We have seen them, right? We also have gone through that. So that's how the monkey is, and feeling uncomfortable. Suddenly they have pain, they have this and that. They are not able to sit. And very often you will see them moving, you'll see them coughing, okay? And then they cannot practice. They just leave the practice. They run away. But in Shunya, we make sure the doors are closed, so they cannot run away. So here it is very nicely explained what exactly this is. It is basically the water where the wind is blowing very hard. And because the wind blows hard, the surface of the water now starts making a kind of a turbulence, waves coming in. And these waves, they actually are the reason because of which the water loses its ability of seeing through. Okay, so the 4th one for an uneasy mind is nothing but waves. Okay, always remember this. They keep on coming and going, keep on coming and going. So once a monkey mind is unleashed, the monkey keeps on jumping here and there. After one scratch, another scratch. After one uneasiness, another uneasiness. After this and this. You can see all that with your own eyes once you start teaching. Okay, that is why in Shunya we say teaching is important. And then as you move forward, the 5th one is basically what? Lack of conviction, or we call it doubt. Okay, yeah. So the 5th one is doubt. The same one, now if you go back to the picture, the one with a question mark, imagine he is not even ready to close his eyes because he's got tons of questions that are coming up in his mind. Okay, so these basically also mean that the doubt can actually be the result through which you are not able to perform well, because your mind will keep on questioning you, why this, why that, and all those things. So it is said that a person with doubts does not even begin his practice. So there are many people who, before even practicing 9 to 0, it's the most, I think the world's most simplest way Do not believe anybody. Just practice for yourself and see whether it makes sense. See, test for yourself, analyze for yourself whether I am able to finish 9 to 0, 99 to 0. Am I able to do that? That's nothing you want to believe or trust somebody. It's about experiencing for yourself. If you cannot even count 9 to 0, then forget everything else. You don't have any option left but to practice and practice and practice. So similarly, when you have doubt on a practice simple like Shunya, I think you have a very tough journey, because you would be a person who would be doubting everything. And once there is a doubt, I think it's the end of many things, because it is said a doubt in somebody's mind is exactly like muddy water. Okay, muddy water. Now the water, when it mixed with doubt, is like water mixed with all the mud. So mind, if there is doubt in your mind, means your mind is full of mud. And once there is mud, forget the ability of seeing through. It's already started to get corrupt. Such water is not even worth drinking. Okay, so very, very difficult. So make sure that you understand these levels. Remember, very, very important. So as we see that the first one was all the colorful colors that you see, the sensual world. Okay, the sensual world was important because it told us about how let me show you through. Yeah, let me get this a little smaller. Okay, here. The first one, the sensual desire. Okay, that was all the colorful water. Then we had ill will. Ill will was like bubblings, all the bubbles in the water. And the sloth and torpor was stagnant water where all the weeds and everything growing. Then restlessness and worry, waves on the water. Okay, and the skeptical doubt, yes. So all these together help us understand that if you want to practice Shunya, you need to overcome these obstacles. Okay. Sometimes I wonder how much understanding they had on a concept of mind. They studied so deeply that they could even bring up a simile of water and mind. Okay, and so very, very easy for us to remember that yes, the water and the mind are almost similar. Water is everywhere. Without water, we cannot, do anything. The world, it's said to be the life force of every being. Similarly, mind is also everything, and mind is also everywhere. And these are the ways in which the mind is in a different state. So how do we overcome these obstacles? Always remember the acronym RAIN, rain. Okay? So remember, with the rain you wash away all these 5. What does that mean? It means, R means to recognize. Recognize that these are the kind of state of my mind, It's either colorful water, because my mind is too much into sensual pleasures, or it is boiling water. I have a lot of ill will that is inside me. I'm bubbling through a lot. Or the third one is very stagnant. My mind is very stagnant. It's full of sloth and torpor. Okay, there's a kind of heaviness and a lot of weeds going. I need to realize this, right? Recognize this. And then maybe my mind is full of waves moving around. Okay, I cannot see through. Or my mind is really becomes so bad that it's full of mud, doubt. I'm not able to do anything. I'm not even able to take a decision because of the muddy water, So, first is recognize. When you recognize, like we see in medicine, a doctor, if he is able to diagnose, half of the job is done, because that's the biggest challenge, diagnosis. Once the diagnosis is done, the second part is very, very easy, and that is the treatment. So, once you are able to recognize that this is your state of mind, the second thing you do is what? You accept. Oh yeah, because many a times we have this feeling that no, it's not true, and we are not ready to accept. Even though we can see our mind jumping like a monkey, we are not ready to accept that. Okay, so we say that the second most important thing is to accept. Then once you accept, then you start your investigation. Investigate. Why am I doing this? Why is it that whenever I sit for meditation, I just doze off? Why is it that I start snoring? Why is it that I keep on scratching? Why is it that I keep on losing my number? Why is it that all these things happening to me? Okay, why is it a kind of revenge and attitude coming in me? Why is it I'm not able to focus? Investigate. Investigate through what? Through the practice. So when you practice, the easiest way to identify why it is not, you'll realize after all the investigation, the only and only reason is you're not able to control your thoughts and you're not able to focus your mind. That is the final thing. So what is the prescription for this? Then we tell them to practice. Again, after identification, what do we tell them to practice? 9 to 0, 29 to 0, 99 to 0. Practice Shunya. One, it is diagnostic. The second one, it is therapeutic too. It will also settle your mind down. Okay, what do you do with the muddy water? Don't touch it, let it be there. After some time, mud is going to separate from the water, right? What do you do with colorful water? Just don't add any more colors to it, right? The water will retain its natural color. Everything, what happens when there are waves coming in? Let the water settle down, cut off all the kinds of connections, What happens if there is too much of sloth and torpor? Move the water here and there. Everything will get distracted, right? Everything will move out. So there is a way, and that is through the practice of Shunya. And now you will realize why we say Samatha and Vipassana both are important. Okay? It's like Samatha brings about a calmness, and Vipassana, as the mind gets calm and calm and calm, it starts getting transparent. And then the eye of Vipassana can see through the mind. Okay, beautiful it is. Okay, and the fourth one is non-identity. Okay, it's also called anatman, not to identify yourself as the problem. Okay, very, very important. Otherwise, we say in a muddy water, we say, oh, I'm the muddy water. No, you're the water in which there is mud. Oh, I have ill thoughts. No, you are the thought that has become ill. Okay, you don't identify yourself as that. You non-identify yourself as that. Once you do that as a third person, you are able to resolve that. Okay, very, very important. So this is the way in which you can actually handle all these problems. So if you look at it, even though there are 5 obstacles, the easiest way is to recognize, accept, investigate, and then as a third person, okay, keep on practicing Shunya so that you are able to get rid of that particular problem. Okay, and here again I would like to quote Patanjali, who said that the second one is Niyam. After Sayam, there is Niyam. Niyam means rules and regulations. So how do you discipline yourself? Very, very important. Okay, once you are able to discipline yourself, you are able to do a lot of things. Okay, now, so this is what basically we wanted to cover here, and with all the similes that we have given, this come from a very old sutra again. Okay, and we are able to understand how the mind is considered like water, having the basic nature to still. When it is still, can allow light pass through, it can be transparent. But once it is disturbed, it loses its basic property of letting through light pass through. It loses its ability to become transparent. The same is with the mind. When the mind is still, it can let you see through things very clearly. Once it is disturbed, it loses ability to stay focused, and it does not allow you to see things clearly. And that is the biggest challenge today. People are not able to see things clearly. And because they don't have the right view, we are seeing so many conflicts around the world. So what is the solution? The solution lies in a very simple practice. To practice, to let the mind settle, to let the mind calm down. And that can be done very easily with the practice of Shunya. Okay, so this brings us to the close of our session, a short session. As I told you, we will be doing short sessions. The idea here is to keep on doing these short sessions, covering up little topics every time. And today we were expecting Dr. Lim to join, but unfortunately he seems to be a little busy. But I'm sure he will join maybe on a Sunday, or again he would come back on the next Tuesday. And so that brings us to the end of our session. So I hope we have understood that the basic idea of having the practice of 5 hindrances was to Okay, let me go here to the slide. Okay, yeah. The idea was to understand that I am going to keep a watch on these 5 hindrances and make sure that they don't become an obstacle in my practice of Shunya. If I'm able to achieve that, I'll be able to do a lot of things in my life. Be more focused and be more dedicated towards my practice. Okay, so this brings us to the end of our session. So with this, we are on the close of our today's session. Okay, and we'll see everyone again on Sunday on the another session on Shunya Talks. So till then, thank you so much. Keep practicing Shunya. Thank you.